Hey there, it's Trisha, and I wanted to go over a few things from Friday that I think might help when people are taking any kind of trade, whether it be the setups that we use or something else that you're using. If you'd like to check out the setups that we use, you can go to www.easyemintrade.com. So I wanted to go over a squeeze that was firing off at 9:39, and I typically am not looking for something till after 9:40, but I want to go over this. I was not willing to take this, but I want to give you the reasons why. Here is our open at 9:30 on our 2000 tick chart. We do have a close below the shorter time moving average, so that's fine. However, when we're getting our squeeze firing off here, our MACD is not in line here yet. Our MACD does not get in line until this bar actually closes. And when that actually happens, the blue dots are gone. But regardless, let's just say that this was the perfect setup, and you were going to take it. You don't have enough room below you. You've got the pivot point below you from the floor trader pivots, so you only have half a point's worth of room below you. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to take something knowing that you have the possibility of a bounce there. So, a little more room below you, absolutely, you could take a squeeze, but keeping in mind that you're not in line here until this bar closes. But I wanted to point that out because there are so many times that you get squeezes firing off that you're going to pass on for one reason or another. Everything's not quite in line. And so that's how we filter them out. The requirements that we have for our entry criteria are what keep us out of the many squeezes that fire off. So you really do have to have some kind of filter that you're using for confirmation to take any squeeze. So here's another example. You have a squeeze firing off at about 10:06, and basically with the entry and where you've got your midpoint below you, you have a point of room. But I do want to point this out. I'm going to just make this a little bigger here. You can see here on our longer tick chart, this is the bar that's forming right here when we get our squeeze. So if you look over to your left here to these bars, you can see that that was an area of resistance. So that area here that acted as resistance, we could now expect that it will act as support. So you need to pay attention to that. So if you took it and it didn't work out, then you can always flatten and cancel it. You would have gone sideways for a while and likely would have had a small loss before getting out. But knowing ahead of time what you have to deal with in the way of support and resistance will help you from taking those trades. So with that said, here's the squeeze firing off at 10:06, and you can see that price did dip a little bit below that area, which was 1060.75 to 1060.25, but you really would need to wait to get through that area, and then you've got the midpoint right below you. So you can see, looking here, that that area did hold up for quite a while as a support area. So you would have passed on that just because of what you were seeing on your longer and broader view of the market. And here at 10:34, we really don't have any real definite direction going on. I know that we did have this down move here, but you do get a squeeze firing off long here, and this is the bar that it's forming on. So again, I wouldn't be interested in that until I get closed above my moving averages, above that 50% retracement, which is this dotted line here. So again, that would be a pass for me. If you took it, you would take it, looks like above the pivot point here. Entry would be about 1063, 1064, and you go nowhere really. Basically 1064.75, and then it pulls back on you. So that's why I'd like to wait for either being completely below the white moving average, close below it, or above it, and then plenty of room to my my purple moving average. if I'm not closed above or below it. So in this case, I would need to be closed above it and then look for a setup. So not a lot goes on after that. Basically, you're just trading in a sideways range. So not a whole lot you can do with that unless the range is wide enough for you to trade. We do have a range setup that we use, so you certainly could see if that would work out for you. But there's not a lot of room in between the highs and lows of these bars, so not a lot you can do there. Right here at 12:31, when that bar closed, 12:39, you do have a valid trend line break setting up, and if you're trading during lunch, it was picture perfect. You would have had to wait for a really long time for it to work out, but the entry would have been 1063.50, and it was perfect because you have your close above the trend line, you're closed above the moving averages, you're closed above the 50% retracement, so you get filled on the very next bar, and then you just trail your stop up under each bar as it progresses. Now, you would never have been stopped out until this bar right here, and this trade would have worked out, depending on how you managed it, +2, +3, +1, +2, +3, just depends on how you managed it. Likely that you didn't sit through this whole entire move, because realistically you would have got in, let's say at 12:40, let's say, and you would not have been stopped out until 2:23. So unlikely that you would have sat there in that trade for almost 2 hours. If you did, then great, but you could have pulled out your 2 points by this bar here, so great. The other thing was that you did actually have a squeeze firing off here, right here on this bar, but you wouldn't have taken it because the trend indicator was very low. So for me, I want it to be over 20 when I'm taking a squeeze. I don't require that for a trend line break, but I require it when I take a squeeze. Here you had one firing off at just about 1 o'clock, and that one was fine. The entry there would have been 1065. You would have had to sit through this. You would never have been stopped out, and you would have gotten your +1 out of it, and your +2 by here. So that worked out fine as well. So I hope that was helpful, and you can check those out at www.easyeminitrade.com.